As a devoted wife who always trusted my husband with all my heart, I always imagined that humiliation had a sound, like something sharp, something loud. But I was wrong. It's quiet, almost gentle, like a breath leaving your body. I felt that breath leave me the moment the screen above the stage flickered, right in the middle of my company's 15th anniversary gala. 1,000 people in the room. Co-workers, founders, partners, investors, spouses. And me, standing beside my husband, trying to look like the polished, supportive wife he wanted everyone to see. Chris had insisted we come tonight. We need to show up strong, Nat. Optics matter. He said that while adjusting my necklace, the one he bought for trust. It was ridiculous, but I let it slide. I always let too much slide. The lights dimmed. Applause filled the ballroom as the CEO stepped up to the mic, ready to cue a highlight reel celebrating the company's journey. I smiled, proud to be part of something that had grown from a cramped co-working space into a national tech name. Then the first photo flashed. Good. Normal. The second slide appeared, and the room shifted. It wasn't a company photo. It was a screenshot. A message between two people, a man and a woman. Chris Hale, you always knew me better than she ever will. Ariella, I miss how easy it was. She's too soft, too trusting. My throat closed. Another screenshot, then another, then another. The CEO froze at the mic. The crowd murmured. People leaned forward, squinting, whispering. I stared at the screen as if it were some other woman's life unraveling, not mine. No, I whispered without meaning to. No, no, no. Chris grabbed my arm. Someone's sabotaging us. Stay calm. The word us twisted like a knife. Because I recognized the profile icon in the corner of those messages, the tiny silhouette from the fake female empowerment account that had messaged me earlier that week. The one who'd said she wanted to warn me about something important. The one I blocked because Chris told me not to engage with strangers online. Then the next screenshot appeared, and my knees buckled. Ariella, does she know you made her delete every account? Does she know that was about hiding me? Chris, she trusts me. She won't question it. The murmurs became gasps. A co-worker's hand flew to her mouth. A man near the stage muttered, "Oh my God." People started recording with their phones. Chris's grip tightened painfully. Natalie, don't react. Don't make this worse. Don't make this worse. The room spun. My vision tunneled until the only thing I could see was the next message flashing large and bright above the stage. Ariella, you can lie to her, but you can't lie to me. You wanted both. You always did. Something inside me, something I had spent years keeping small, cracked wide open. Chris tried to pull me closer, but I stepped away from him so hard the air between us snapped. And in that space, I felt the truth settle like a storm forming in my chest. He wasn't panicked because he was innocent. He was panicked because he'd been caught. "Turn it off! Cut the feed!" someone shouted from the AV booth. The screen went black, finally, mercifully, but it was too late. The damage had already splashed across every face in the ballroom. My coworker Jasmine rushed over, eyes wide with horror. "Natalie? Are you okay?" Chris answered for me. "She's fine. We'll handle this privately." I lifted my head slowly, and the look I gave him must have startled him, because his expression faltered for the first time all night. "Privately?" My voice shook, but not with fear, with clarity. "That was your choice months ago, wasn't it? When you made me delete everything while you kept your entire online life." His jaw tightened. "Not here." People stared openly now. Some sympathetic, some hungry for drama, some simply shocked. Phones were still pointed at us. I took one breath, then another, and I did something I never imagined myself doing in public. I stepped onto the small side platform beside the stage, turned toward the crowd, and spoke, loudly, clearly, without shaking. "For the record," I said, "I deleted my social media because my husband told me it would make him feel secure. I didn't know it was so he could keep someone else hidden." A collective exhale swept through the room. Chris reached up toward me, horrified. Natalie, stop. I didn't. While I was trying to protect our marriage, I continued. He was protecting his affair. A woman in the crowd whispered, "Good for her." Another said, "Finally, someone says it." Chris's face drained of color. "Get down," he hissed. "People are filming." "I know," I said. And for the first time tonight, I smiled. Because this wasn't humiliation anymore. This was the moment everything shifted. I stepped down from the platform, walked past him, and headed for the exit without looking back. Behind me, I heard chairs scraping, murmurs rising, someone trying to approach Chris for a statement. I kept walking. When he finally caught up to me in the hallway outside the ballroom, breathless and desperate, he grabbed my arm again. "We can fix this," he said. "But you need to stop overreacting." I yanked my arm free so sharply he stumbled. "Don't ever tell me I'm overreacting to my own betrayal," I said quietly, not for the crowd, but for me. His mouth opened, but I was done listening. I reached into my clutch, pulled out my wedding ring, and pressed it into his palm like a final verdict. "I'll send someone for my things," I said. "You won't see me again until I'm ready. And when I'm ready, you'll wish you'd never met me." His hand trembled around the ring. "Nat." I turned and walked out the glass doors into the cool Seattle night, my heels hitting the pavement with more certainty than I'd felt in years. I didn't know every step I'd take next, but I knew one thing with absolute certainty. I wasn't walking away defeated. I was walking away to plan his downfall. People always assume betrayal happens overnight. In my case, it happened slowly. The kind of slow that feels harmless until you look back and realize you've been sinking for years. When I met Chris 7 years ago, I was a single mom with a quiet apartment in Ballard and a daughter who slept with a nightlight shaped like a moon. Mila was 5 then, all curls and questions. I remember how gently Chris approached her, how carefully he folded himself into our world. He brought stability when I was drowning in responsibility. He helped with school pickups, cooked on Thursdays, and told Mila she was the bravest girl in Seattle. Back then, that meant everything. Our early years felt real. We worked as a team. We saved, we built, we dreamed. When his company struggled, I used part of the inheritance my mother left me to help him secure a certification he needed for the commercial real estate firm he wanted so badly to join. I didn't hesitate. He said, "We're investing in our future." I believed him. I always believed him. Looking back, the warning signs weren't loud. They were quiet, polite, almost reasonable. Like when he said, "Your Instagram makes you look too available. People from work could get the wrong idea." Or, "Facebook is toxic. Why do you want strangers watching your life?" Or the worst one, said so casually over breakfast, "It would make me feel safer if you deleted everything. Just for us." I didn't think of it as control. I thought of it as love. And when you convince yourself something is love, you'll do almost anything to protect it. So I deleted every account. And little by little, I disappeared from my own life. No photos with friends, no posts from my hikes with Mila, no outlet when work became overwhelming, no connection to anyone outside of him. And somehow, the more I vanished, the more visible he became. He was suddenly needed at late dinners, invited to networking trips, obligated to show up for clients on weekends. I tried to see it as ambition. I tried to be supportive. But I remember the first time I felt something was off, really off. It was a Tuesday night. He came home smelling like someone else's perfume. He said it was the scented soap in the men's room of the restaurant. I laughed it off because the alternative hurt too much. I carried that moment quietly, just like I carried a dozen others. The final push came 2 days after the gala, when I was packing clothes in a daze and Mila walked into my room holding my laptop. "Mom," she whispered, "I think you should see this." She showed me an email from the fake account, one I never opened because Chris said it was bait from trolls. But Mila saw my name on it and clicked. Inside was a full thread, screenshots, dates, times, proof. She looked at me with eyes that deserved better truth than the one I protected for too long. Mom, he lied to you. And that was it. The last thread snapped. Everything I gave him, everything I sacrificed, everything I believed, it all crystallized into one undeniable reality. He didn't just cheat on me. He built his entire life on the belief that I would never question him. He was wrong. The morning after Mila showed me the email, I woke up with a kind of stillness I hadn't felt in years. Not peace, not yet, but clarity. The kind that doesn't shake or second guess. The kind that acts. I sat on the edge of my bed, the house silent except for the soft hum of the refrigerator downstairs, and I realized there was no version of my life where I stayed and pretended this could be repaired. Not after he'd used my trust as cover. Not after he'd isolated me, erased me, and spoken to another woman like I was a placeholder. I wasn't crying. I wasn't shaking. I was done. My first move was simple. I opened my laptop, logged into the bank account Chris assumed I never checked, and started shifting money. Half, my half, into an account under my name only. Then I froze our joint credit card. I left his business card active because I wanted him to feel the drop, not the slam. A slow, inconvenient unraveling. Something he couldn't immediately blame on me. Next, I opened a new email. To an attorney. Subject: urgent. Need consultation for separation. I hit send before I could think about it. Thinking was what kept me stuck all these years. Action is what would save me now. I moved methodically through the house after that, not packing to leave, but packing strategically. Only essentials, a week of clothes for me and Mila, important documents, jewelry, my backup hard drive. I didn't touch the sentimental items. They weren't mine to rescue right now. They were mine to reclaim later. As I zipped the last suitcase, Mila appeared in the doorway. "Are we leaving today?" she asked quietly. I nodded. Just for a bit. She didn't ask where. She didn't ask why. She just grabbed her backpack and said, "Okay." My daughter understood more than I ever gave her credit for. By noon, I had booked a short-term apartment rental in Belltown under my maiden name. By 1, I had movers scheduled for a discreet pickup of our bags. By 2, I had already spoken to HR about shifting my work location temporarily. No explanations, no drama, just logistics. Every step made me feel lighter. At 3 o'clock, just as I was closing one final drawer, the front door opened. "Natalie?" His voice, casual, unsuspecting, like he was walking into any other afternoon, hit me like a punch. I turned slowly, letting him take in the scene. Bags near the stairs, empty hangers scattered, Mila's shoes missing from the rack. He blinked. What's going on?" I didn't raise my voice. I didn't tremble. I just met his eyes and said, "I know everything." Color drained from his face, the way it does when someone loses more than balance. When they lose control. "Natalie, listen." "No," I said. "You will listen." For a moment, he didn't breathe. "You made me delete my entire online life," I continued. "You made me isolate myself. You told me it was for trust, but it was so you could hide your messages. Hide her. Hide what you were doing while I was defending you." He opened his mouth to deny it, and I lifted my phone, the screenshots already saved. "This is not misunderstanding," I said. "This is not insecurity. This is not me overreacting. This is betrayal built on intention." His shoulders sagged. "Natalie, please, we can fix—" I cut him off with the same sentence I'd heard him use on me so many times it became a reflex. "Not here. Not now." His eyes widened like he recognized the reversal. "I've already spoken to an attorney," I said. "Your access to the joint account is frozen. I've secured my portion. Mila and I are leaving today." He stepped toward me, panic flashing. "You can't just disappear. You should be grateful that disappearing is all I'm doing right now." For the first time since I'd met him, Chris Hale looked small. Not because he'd lost me, but because he realized I wasn't the woman he could predict anymore. "You'll ruin us," he whispered. "No," I said, picking up my suitcase. "You ruined us. I'm just cleaning up what's left." As I walked past him, he reached for my wrist, but I didn't pull away this time. I simply turned my hand over, letting his fingers fall off like they never had a claim on me. "We're leaving," I said. "You'll hear from my lawyer next." And Mila appeared at the stairs, head held high, backpack over her shoulder. That's when he knew it was real. When he saw our daughter choosing to walk with me. He didn't chase us. He didn't shout. He just stood there stunned as the door shut behind us. My decision was made. My first moves were in motion, and the part of me that had been quiet for far too long was finally wide awake. I thought leaving the house would feel like ripping something open, but instead it felt clean, sharp, necessary. The consequences, however, didn't wait. They started the moment Chris tried to pay for his lunch. I was unpacking in the rental apartment when my phone buzzed nonstop. Not because he messaged me, but because his name lit up the screen in a flurry of missed calls. 5, then 7, then 10. I ignored everyone. The 11th call was a voicemail. I didn't want to hear it, but curiosity won. When I pressed play, all I heard was a low, frantic whisper. "Natalie, what did you do?" "My card got declined in front of clients. I need you to call me back right now." There was something satisfying about how tight his voice sounded. He wasn't worried about me, or Mila, or our marriage. He was worried about the optics. He was worried about being embarrassed. Welcome to my world, I thought. I put the phone down, finished hanging Mila's clothes, and let him sweat. By evening, the ripples spread further. Jasmine from work texted me. "Are you okay? People are talking. Chris is spiraling." I typed back, "We're safe. That's all that matters." Another message came, this time from Chris's younger brother, Theo. The only one in his family who ever treated me like a human instead of a house accessory. "I heard what happened. I'm on your side. Whatever you need, tell me." It stunned me for a second. Support wasn't something I was used to, but I typed back a simple, "Thank you." Then the fallout landed on the other woman. At 9:14 p.m., my inbox pinged with a forwarded message from an unknown sender. It was a screenshot of Ariella's employer's community guidelines, and a note above it. "Did you know she messaged multiple people from her work computer? HR is reviewing." I didn't smile, but I did exhale, long and slow. Her actions had consequences too. Not because of anything I did, because of choices she made. And apparently, word had spread far enough that people started connecting the dots themselves. I didn't need to lift a finger for that. By midnight, the next wave hit. Chris texted, "We need to talk. You can't just freeze accounts. This affects my business." Then, "You're being cruel. Come home. Let's fix this." Then, "If you don't call me, I'll come to the rental. Where are you?" That one made my stomach clench for a second. Not from fear, but from the reminder of how predictably he escalated when he lost control. I replied with exactly one message. "Do not show up here. All communication goes through my attorney." He read it instantly, and for once, he didn't respond. The next morning, I got another update, this one accidental. While checking the joint account to confirm the freeze held, I noticed a pattern. 4 different failed attempts from Chris to withdraw cash within 10 minutes. He was scrambling, desperate. But none of it compared to the call I received later that afternoon. It was from the HR director at my company, professional, composed, but clearly rattled. "Natalie, I wanted to let you know that people are still talking about the gala incident. Someone leaked a video online." My pulse quickened. "Of what?" "A moment when you spoke on stage. It's circulating." For a second, I panicked. Then she added, "Honestly, people are praising you. They're saying you handled yourself with dignity, that you were brave." Brave. I'd never felt further from that word. But hearing it made something settle inside me. After we hung up, I stood by the window overlooking the Seattle skyline. Cranes, ferries, gray water. and realized something important. The world wasn't collapsing around me. It was collapsing around him. My only job was to stay steady. That night, Mila curled up beside me on the couch, her head on my shoulder. "Are we going to be okay, Mom?" she asked. I wrapped my arm around her. "Yes," I said. "We already are." The first consequences had landed. The next ones would be bigger. And Chris had no idea how far this would go. 3 days after we moved into the rental, I got the invitation. A thin, embossed card slid under the door by a courier. I recognized the logo instantly. Harper and Lee Commercial Partners. Chris's firm. It wasn't sent to me by mistake. The note clipped inside made that painfully clear. Mandatory partners luncheon. Attendance, strongly encouraged, guests permitted. Guests. Right, they wanted me there. Not to welcome me, but to watch whatever damage control Chris was planning. I almost threw it away. Almost. But then I remembered the forged document. The one I found weeks earlier, but never confronted him about. A minor authorization form for a business purchase that carried my signature, except I knew I never signed it. At the time, I convinced myself it was a mix-up with the digital system. Now, I knew exactly what it was. Convenience. He used me when it benefited him. And today, he was going to learn what it felt like to be exposed publicly. I arrived at the waterfront restaurant at noon sharp. A glass wall overlooked the bay, sunlight bouncing across the tables filled with suits, expensive watches, and people who had adored Chris's curated persona. The chatter dimmed when I walked in. There's a special kind of silence reserved for a woman people underestimated. Chris stood near the center table, mid-sentence with a group of partners. His expression faltered the second he saw me. Confusion first, then irritation, then fear. He stepped toward me quickly. "Natalie, you shouldn't be here." "But I was invited," I said, holding up the embossed card. "And you know how you feel about optics." A few people laughed under their breath. His jaw clenched. "Let's talk privately." "No," I said. "Let's talk honestly." I walked right past him and took an empty seat near the leadership table. Chris followed, whispering harshly, "You're making a scene." "You screened your affair on a projector," I replied. "I think we have very different definitions of scene." The room went silent again, not hostile, just expectant. The oldest partner, Mr. Lee himself, cleared his throat. "Natalie, we were sorry to hear about the incident. Today is a professional space, but you're welcome to speak." Chris whipped his head around. "Are you serious?" Mr. Lee held up a hand. "If something affects our firm, we need clarity." Chris swallowed hard. I pulled the folded document from my purse and placed it on the table. "Then let's start with this." He froze. "What is that?" one partner asked. "A purchase authorization for a corporate condo," I said calmly. "It has my signature on it." A younger partner leaned forward. "But you don't work with the firm." "I don't." And I didn't sign it. A ripple of whispers went through the room. Chris shot forward, voice breaking. "Natalie, stop." I raised my voice just enough. "You used my name to secure leverage for a deal you weren't qualified to authorize on your own. And when that wasn't enough, you used my silence to cover your affair." Someone gasped. Mr. Lee lifted the document with shaking fingers. "Chris, did you forge your wife's signature?" He didn't answer. He didn't have to. Because right then, the restaurant door opened, and Ariella walked in. I hadn't expected her. But the universe has a funny way of timing its blows. She looked pale, frantic, eyes red-rimmed. And when her gaze landed on Chris, she whispered, "They fired me. Because of you." The partners stared in horrified fascination. I didn't stand. I didn't raise my voice. I simply said the line that had been waiting for me ever since the gala. "You hid her behind the lie of trust. You hid me behind the lie of privacy. And you built your entire reputation on signatures that weren't yours, just like your loyalty." Someone at the far table muttered, "Oh, damn." Ariella backed away from Chris. "Don't call me again," she said, her voice cracking. I'm done being your secret. She left, quickly, quietly, and somehow her exit made the moment heavier. Chris turned back to me, pleading now. Natalie, please. Can we talk outside? We can fix... I pushed my chair back, stood, and looked him dead in the eye. You don't fix a foundation that was poured with lies, I said. You tear it down. Then I walked out, the same way I left the gala. Except this time, I wasn't shaking. Behind me, I heard Mr. Lee say in a low, stunned voice, Chris, we need to discuss your position. The door closed behind me. Sunlight hit my face. My hands were steady. He wanted optics. He got reality. I should have known Chris wouldn't go down quietly. Humiliation has a way of turning men like him into opportunists, clawing for control, even when the world is already watching them fall. The morning after the partners' luncheon, I woke up to 30 unread messages from Jasmine and 2 missed calls from Theo. Before I could open any of them, my phone buzzed again. Jasmine, did you see the interview? Interview? My stomach tightened. I pulled up the news link she sent and felt my pulse spike. There he was, Chris, on a local business segment, sitting in front of a staged bookshelf, wearing his navy blazer, the one he kept for serious PR moments. His face looked carefully neutral, but anyone who knew him could see the panic beneath the surface. The host read the headline out loud. Rising real estate partner addresses rumors after viral gala scandal. Rumors. That word alone made my jaw clench. He started speaking, voice soft, rehearsed, almost sympathetic. It's been a challenging week, he said. My wife is going through a difficult emotional period. She misunderstood a private conversation and reacted publicly. She's under a lot of pressure, and I hope people can be compassionate as we sort this out. I blinked. Compassionate. Toward him. He continued. I've always supported her, but she's been struggling with mental strain. She needs space, and I'm giving her that. Mental strain. A neat, polished way of calling me unstable. Then he flashed that corporate half-smile he used to charm rooms full of investors. I love my wife deeply, and I hope she'll come home once things calm down. She's not herself right now. I felt heat rise in my chest. Not panic, not fear, anger, pure, electrifying anger. He was rewriting our entire history in front of thousands of viewers. And he thought I wouldn't push back. The video ended, and within minutes, social media was buzzing. Not with sympathy for him, but with confusion, speculation, and heated debates. Half the people commented about classic PR distraction, and the other half seemed genuinely unsure who to believe. Then the notifications changed. More messages, more links. Theo finally texted, You need to see this. Someone leaked the screenshots. All of them. I opened the link. A thread had gone viral overnight. Trust is not control. Someone, I still don't know who, posted every screenshot Ariella had sent me. The messages weren't cropped. They weren't softened. They weren't ambiguous. They exposed everything. Chris telling Ariella I was easy to manipulate. Chris claiming he kept me offline so she wouldn't find out. Chris telling her, she'll believe anything if I say it calmly. And then the worst one, the one that made my hands shake. She's lucky to have me. I saved her life. She wouldn't survive without me. The comments section exploded. This is psychological control, not love. She needs to run. He really went on TV and lied? No wonder she walked out of that gala. People started stitching clips from his interview with the leaked messages, pointing out every contradiction, every manipulation tactic, every rehearsed line. By noon, a new trending hashtag appeared. #Gaslight Gala. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Theo called again. This time I answered. You okay? He asked. I'm processing. He messed up, Nat. Big time. The partners saw everything. Dad saw everything. You didn't have to lift a finger. He dug the hole himself. I stared out the window at the ferries cutting across the gray-blue water. He went on TV, I said quietly. He painted me as unstable. Yeah, Theo said. But the internet just painted him as the villain. And honestly, he deserved it. An hour later, Chris texted, paragraphs this time. You need to help me fix this. You know I never meant for things to look this way. People are attacking me because of you. You should have kept this between us. Call me now. We can still fix our marriage. Don't let the media destroy us. I deleted the message without responding. Because there was no us. There wasn't even a marriage. Just a facade he'd been desperate to maintain. That evening, a statement appeared on his firm's official page. Harper & Lee Partners has placed Christopher Hale on temporary leave pending review. Temporary leave. A corporate way of saying, we saw enough to distance ourselves. The PR war wasn't mine, it was his. And he was losing spectacularly. For once, I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel scared. I felt something else entirely. Vindicated. And the war wasn't over yet. The day the legal fallout began didn't feel dramatic. It felt administrative. A strange, steady drumbeat of consequences landing exactly where they were supposed to. It started with my attorney, Mara Kaplan. Sharp, unreadable, efficient in a way that made me feel like I had finally stepped into the hands of someone who would not let me be erased again. We sat in her office overlooking Pike Place, papers neatly lined in front of us. Chris will attempt emotional appeals first, Mara said. Then intimidation. Then bargaining. Don't engage. From this point on, everything comes through me. I nodded. What about the forged signature? Her eyes glinted with something almost dangerous. That's not a divorce issue. That's a legal issue. And his firm is already documenting it. She slid another paper across the table. I've filed for exclusive temporary custody of Mila and temporary spousal protection. Based on the evidence, the court will likely grant it. The words made my chest loosen for the first time in weeks. He won't get near you or your daughter without permission, she added. This is the cleanest case I've taken all year. I expected relief. Instead, I felt a cold, focused resolve. What happens next? I asked. Mara folded her hands. Next? His financial stability collapses. And it did. Faster than I imagined. By the end of the week, Harper & Lee Partners issued a public notice. Pending internal investigation into ethical practices, we have suspended Christopher Hale from all client-facing duties. Suspended, not temporary leave. Suspended. The difference mattered. Clients withdrew, projects were reassigned. Colleagues who'd once toasted him started avoiding his name like it was bad luck. The firm didn't fire him, not yet. But in this world, suspension might as well have been a sentence. Then came the financial blow. I received a notice from our joint bank. Christopher attempted to unfreeze the account. Request denied. Mara emailed next. He attempted to claim financial hardship. Court rejected the motion. Every attempt he made to regain footing slipped out from under him. His father, a man obsessed with reputation, finally called me, and his voice was clipped, icy. Natalie, I want to make something clear. We had no idea what Christopher was doing. If the forged signature case proceeds, we will not protect him. It stunned me. You're disowning your own son's actions? We are protecting the family business, he said. Not his mistakes. For the first time since all this began, I felt a flicker. Not of sympathy, but of clarity. Chris was losing every safety net he once used to climb. Then came his mother. She showed up at my rental unannounced, wearing pearls and fury. How could you do this to him? She demanded. The media is tearing him apart. I opened the door wider. He did that to himself. He needs compassion. He needs accountability. She pointed a manicured finger at me. You walked out on your marriage. No, I said, voice steady. I walked away from a lie. She didn't know how to respond. It was the first time I'd seen her speechless. As she left, Mila peeked out from her room. Was that Grandma? Yes, I said softly. And she's upset. Mila's little chin lifted the way it always did when she was about to say something true. But you're not wrong, Mom. Her words anchored me more than any court document could. Then came the true unraveling. Ariella. I didn't expect to hear from her again, but I got an email. Long, emotional, confused. She wrote, I thought he would leave you. He told me he would. I didn't know about the control. I didn't know about the fake accounts. I lost my job. My reputation is destroyed. I thought we were in this together, but he blocked me the moment things got messy. I didn't respond. Not because I hated her. I didn't. I pitied her. She wasn't the villain of my story. She was another person he manipulated. Another person he made small. Her downfall wasn't my victory. My victory was something deeper, reclaiming my life piece by piece. At the next court hearing, Chris finally cracked. He showed up disheveled, eyes dull, suit wrinkled. His attorney kept whispering instructions he wasn't absorbing. When the judge asked him to speak, he looked at me with a desperation I didn't recognize. Natalie, he said, voice strained. We can still fix this. Mara placed a calming hand on my arm, but I didn't need it. I felt taller than him for the first time in 7 years. There's nothing left to fix, I said. The judge ruled in my favor on every motion. Custody, financial separation, restraining boundaries, control of the property sale, investigative review of the forged signature. Every gavel hit was another chain breaking. Chris stood there, suspended at work, isolated from his family, exposed online, money restricted, mistress gone, reputation fractured. And I finally saw him clearly. Not the man who promised to protect me. Not the man I built a life with. But the man he always was beneath the performance. Broken. Unmasked. Alone. And I wasn't finished yet. I always imagined the final confrontation would feel like a battlefield. Raised voices, slamming doors, a storm of everything we never said. But when the moment actually arrived, it felt more like a quiet hallway after an earthquake. The destruction already done. Only the truth left standing. It happened on a gray Monday morning, 3 weeks after the court rulings. I was dropping off paperwork at Mara's office when her assistant buzzed through the intercom. Ms. Sorensen, Christopher Hale is requesting to speak with you. He's downstairs. I froze. Mara looked up from her desk, already reading the tension on my face. You don't have to see him, she said. We can have security ask him to leave. But something in me, something calm, rooted, finally felt ready. It's okay, I said. I'll go down. She studied me for a long second. You're steady today. I am. And it was true. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't bracing. I wasn't rehearsing anything in my head. I was simply done. He was waiting in the lobby, sitting on one of the chairs near the large windows, hands clasped, shoulders hunched. His suit didn't fit right anymore. Too loose at the collar, too big at the shoulders. Like his life had slipped out of it faster than he could adjust. When he saw me, he stood abruptly. Natalie. My name cracked in his voice. He looked different. Not older, not tired, smaller. I just wanted to talk, he said. You have 3 minutes, I replied. After that, I go back upstairs. He swallowed, nodding too fast. Okay. He followed me to a quiet corner of the lobby near the exit, away from the reception desk. A breeze from the revolving doors moved between us. And then it came. The plea. Everything is falling apart, he said. The firm suspended me indefinitely. Dad cut the business line. My accounts are locked. I don't know what to do. I didn't respond. Not to be cruel. But because he wasn't saying anything I hadn't expected, he kept going. I know I messed up. I know I lied. But you have to understand I didn't think you'd leave. I didn't think you'd go this far. Go this far? I repeated softly. You mean protecting myself? He winced. No, I mean... He took a breath. We've been together 7 years, Nat. You can't just erase that. I'm not erasing anything, I said. I'm acknowledging what it actually was. He stepped closer, desperation sharpening his features. We can fix it. We can go to counseling, start slow, Rebuild. Please. I need my life back. There it was. The sentence that revealed the truth. He didn't want me back. He wanted the structure I added to his image. The stability. The audience of one who believed everything he said. You don't miss me, I said quietly. You miss the version of yourself you got to be when I protected you. He opened his mouth, but I held up a hand. No more rehearsed lines, I said. No more half-truths packaged like apologies. Speak plainly. Why are you really here? His shoulders sagged. He looked away. And for the first time, he told the truth. Because I don't have anyone else, he whispered. There it was. Not love, not remorse, not self-awareness. Just fear. The fear of being alone with the consequences. I never thought you'd actually walk out, he said, voice breaking. I thought you depended on me. I felt something shift inside me, a quiet strength, the kind that comes from realizing you survived what was meant to silence you. I depended on myself, I said. You just didn't notice. He looked stunned. So that's it? After everything we built? We didn't build anything, I said gently. I built, you took. And when it suited you, you hid pieces of me so you could grow in the shadows. His eyes glistened. I'm begging you. Don't walk away. Not like this. Not forever. Chris, I said softly, you walked away first. You just never turned around to see how far. He flinched, nailed. He tried one last angle, the one I used to fall for. I can change, he whispered. Just give me one more chance. I stepped closer, close enough to see the cracks in everything he used to be. You had 1,000 chances, I said. Every time I trusted you. Every time I believed the excuses. Every time I chose the family, we were supposed to be over the truth staring me in the face. He shut his eyes. And you burned every one. Silence settled between us. Real silence. Not the defensive kind or the angry kind, but the kind that signals an ending. He opened his eyes again, voice barely audible. So this is goodbye? I took a long, steady breath. The final one I would ever take with him still in the same chapter of my life. Yes, I said. This is goodbye. He shook his head slowly. I don't know how to do this. You learn, I said. Just like I did. He sank back onto the lobby chair, looking defeated in a way I had never seen. Not even at the luncheon, not even at the gala. Is there anything left to say? He asked. Yes, I replied. One thing. He looked up, hopeful for one last time. And I delivered the line that closed the book. Losing me isn't your punishment. Living with what you did is. His face crumpled. I turned toward the elevator, walked back into Mara's office, never looked back. And just like that, the chapter I once thought was my whole life ended. 6 months later, my life didn't look anything like the version I once fought so hard to maintain. It looked better, quieter in all the right ways, fuller in ways I didn't expect, and finally, unmistakably mine. Mila and I live in a light-filled 2-bedroom apartment overlooking the Sound. On clear mornings, the entire bay turns gold, and she says it feels like we're waking up inside a postcard. She's happier, not louder or wilder, just freer. She doesn't tiptoe anymore. She doesn't check my expression before speaking. She laughs without hesitation, like something heavy fell off her shoulders the day we left. And maybe something did. I'm different too. Not in a dramatic, new life way. More in the steady way confidence returns when no one is shrinking you anymore. I rebuilt my online presence with intention. Photos of our hikes, cooking disasters, sketches Mila makes, small victories at work. Nothing curated, nothing controlled, just real life, shared on my terms. I even led a panel at my company about digital safety and emotional autonomy. The CEO thanked me afterward with a sincerity that still surprises me. Work is thriving. I earned a promotion I never had space to pursue before, senior project manager. And for the first time, I feel like my success belongs solely to me. As for Chris, I don't think about him much. Not with anger, not with longing, just with distance. Word occasionally filters through, but it doesn't affect me. He moved into a small rental outside the city. Harper and Lee didn't reinstate him. His father cut financial ties completely. His social media, once a curated gallery of accomplishment, is now silent. No dramatic posts, no statements, no defenses, just quiet. The last time I heard his name was in passing at the office kitchen, someone whispering about how he hasn't bounced back and how losing control revealed who he really was. I didn't feel triumph. I didn't feel pity. I felt nothing. And that, in itself, was freedom. Sometimes, late at night, I sit on the balcony with a cup of tea and look out at the harbor lights. Not to reflect on the past, but to recognize how far I've stepped beyond it. Healing didn't come as a single revelation. It came as 100 small, steady choices. Answering Mila with patience, turning down the volume on guilt, letting my life widen again, allowing myself to be someone who doesn't apologize for surviving. I once thought betrayal would define me. Now I see it was only a doorway, one I finally walked through. And as the waves hit the shoreline below, I realized the truth I had been circling for months. Some endings aren't tragedies, they're releases, and mine set me free. Thank you for tuning in to the Velvet Revenge channel. Please hit that hype button, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this. See you soon.